Hi guys, today from Berlin in Germany. Today we'll be talking about the negative interest rates and why they are good for crypto. See you in the next part. Negative interest rates. Governments around the world want to introduce negative interest rates on your bank deposits. Right now, the interest rates on bank deposits are around 0%, and this is caused by the flawed Keynes theory of economy, and governments follow these theories, these Keynesian theories, and want to stimulate economy by forcing people to spend money, by forcing people to invest money. And of course, first of all, they keep people from saving money. They keep people from cautiously investing their money. They force people to invest money no matter what. They force people to spend money whatever want, and they force people into debt. I am standing here in the very center of Berlin, in the close to Brandenburger Tor. Behind me, this is the hallmark of Berlin, and you can see here who rules in Germany. And this is in every other country. You see banks over here. There is a Commerzbank and there is a DZ Bank. And on the other side, you see Allianz. This is an insurance company. So financial companies rule in every country, but governments have the keys to money in their hands, and then they want to take your money. They want to control you through the means of money. I was talking about the future of money and why it is this way in a video, Future of Money. I will connect it here and you will find it in the description below. So watch this video first. But today I want to tell you how the negative interest rates on bank deposits could be implemented by governments around the world, and why they couldn't be implemented until now, and what changed now. So generally, governments want to punish you for keeping cash, for not spending your money. If you have money in the bank right now, you get around 0% interest rate on your money. But in the future, it will be even worse. When you keep, let's say, $100 on your bank account, the government will cut, let's say, 1, maybe 2% of your money in the future. So after a year, you would have, let's say, $98 in your account only. After 2 years, you would have, let's say, $96 only, and so on and so on. So your money on your bank account will be melting. Additionally, to the lowering the purchasing power of your money through the means of inflation. So governments are printing money nevertheless. So the value of the money you hold is decreasing. And on top of that, the governments want to punish you for keeping your money by decreasing the amount of money you have. But there is one problem with this, because when bank deposits have negative interest rates, people can just withdraw the money from the bank and keep them in cash. And this way they can at least avoid that the banks or the government will just take or punish them with negative rates on their deposits, on their money, for keeping the money. And the problem with that is, of course, the banking system is highly unstable, and it may come to bankruptcies, because the bank has only, depending on the country, between 2 and maybe 10% of the deposited money really in the ownership. The rest of that, it is given away as loans to other bank customers. So it is highly unstable, and introducing negative interest rates would lead to a failure or to the collapse of banking system. So that is why governments like so much the idea of cashless society, of reducing or, let's say, eliminating cash altogether. So everybody would need to keep the money in the bank. It would be the only money, and it would of course mean a total control over the people, of the population, through the means of the money, because all the money would be in the banking system, so everybody's account could be frozen, the money could be manipulated, decreased, whatever, because there would be no escape from that system anymore. But the problem with that is the following. The government would give away the control over the money to the banks completely. And it would make itself dependent on the commercial banks. This is the first problem with that. And this is, of course, the governments don't want to do that. They want to have the power and the control over the system, over the citizens, over the society, and they don't want to give private institutions control over the citizens. And the second problem with that is this could really lead to a social revolution, I mean a real revolution, when people would say, no, we don't allow for that, we want our cash, and they would maybe switch to other currencies that are non-governmental currencies, like maybe gold, maybe cigarettes, maybe some other items that they would use instead of government money, and they would make themselves independent from the government money. Or on the other side, the so-called gray sector, the gray economy, the non-official or illegal economy would skyrocket, and a lot of economic activity would take place in that gray zone. And this is what governments, of course, don't want to. So they want to introduce negative interest rates, but they can't really eliminate cash altogether, because this would lead to a revolution. So what are the other two options? One option is, and some governments are starting to think about that, is to introduce their own cryptocurrency. They would call it cryptocurrency, but it is, of course, not a real cryptocurrency, because this would be completely controlled by the government, and the governments would be able to inflate that cryptocurrency. And this would be also a state-owned currency, meaning the currency will be issued and controlled by state. This wouldn't be like international global currency, any of that. The mining would be also probably provided by the states. It wouldn't be free mining by individual actors or commercial actors. So generally, this would be something in the contradiction of a cryptocurrency. The only thing would be that it will allow peer-to-peer payments without banks. So the advantage from the viewpoint of the government would be that governments would control that money without need of banks. Of course, you would be able to deposit that money in banks, but banks wouldn't create any money. And just recently, another option was proposed. This solution was proposed by two scientists from the International Monetary Fund, by Mr. Rohit Agarwal and Mr. Signe Kokstrup. These two guys came up with the following idea that will allow governments to introduce negative interest rates on bank deposits without eliminating cash altogether. And the idea is as follows. They would introduce two currencies. Let's work here with dollar. The first currency, the banking dollar, and the other currency would be the cash dollar. The banking dollars would be the dollars in the bank deposits. And they would be, of course, they would have the negative interest rates. This is what I explained before. Your deposit of $100 would, let's say, lose $2 after 1 year. So negative interest, after 1 year you would have $98 on your bank account, after 2 years you would have $96, and so on and so on. So the amount of dollars would decrease on your bank account. But if you withdraw the money, let's say in the first year you want to avoid that, you would withdraw the money in cash. Then you would get another currency called cash dollars. And all the prices would be given in the shops and so on in dollars. If you pay from your bank account via wire transfer or card payment, you would pay the amount that is written on the merchandise. Let's say for a t-shirt you would pay $10. When you pay with the card, it's $10. But cash would be devalued over time. So every day it would be worth less, and the exchange rate to the real dollars or the bank dollars would decrease. Let's say after 1 year, you would get for one cash dollar 97 cents of bank dollars, and this exchange rate would be controlled by the state, and this exchange rate would be an official exchange rate that all the shops would have to use. So let's say a t-shirt that costs $10, after a year it would cost also 10 cash dollars at the beginning, but after a year it would already cost $10, but the exchange rate would be 90, let's say 97. That means after a year you would need to pay 10.30 cash dollars, or after 2 years 10.60 cash dollars, but the price would be the same, let's say $10, right? So if you want to pay cash, they would ask you at the counter, do you want to pay card or you want to pay cash? If you want to pay card, the price is $10. If you want to pay cash, the price is also $10, but the exchange rate is maybe different to cash dollars. So $10 would mean after several years 11 cash dollars, and that's why you would be punished by the exchange rate for keeping cash. So it wouldn't make any sense to withdraw money from your bank account, because it would lose the value faster than the money that you keep in the bank account. This is a solution that these two scientists or these two economists came up, and I think these are the only two solutions that the governments can use. Of course, the other solution would be to eliminate cash altogether, but this is very risky. But if they don't want to be completely dependent on the banks, they would introduce either their own cryptocurrencies, or they would introduce two currencies, meaning one of them would be the bank dollar, the other one cash dollar, or with any other currency, bank euro and cash euro, and then devalue the cash euro, consistently control the exchange rate between cash euro and bank euro. So, and now why I think that generally negative interest rates are good for crypto, because independently which solution they choose, it will be of advantage for cryptocurrencies. If they choose to use the solution of state-owned cryptocurrency, it will mean that people will get used to usage of cryptocurrencies, to have electronic money in the wallets, on the mobile phones and so on. And this would mean also a better adoption for the real cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. People will accept Bitcoin much more, and they will want to invest in Bitcoin much more. So this is one solution, and if they choose the other solution with these two currencies, then people will see with their own eyes that governments want to take money from them. They want to devalue their money, they want to take away their money, and this means they would flee in other investments that keep value. One of these investments may be gold, the other would be Bitcoin or maybe other cryptocurrencies. So people would see much more tangibly, or would feel much more tangibly, the necessity of getting rid of cash, or maybe opting out from the banking system, or keeping the capital in the state-owned either banking system or cash currency. So they would then invest in other assets like gold or like Bitcoin. This is what I wanted to tell you today from Germany, from Brandenburger Tor. If you like this video, give me a thumb up. If not, of course, thumb down. I invite you to comment. What is your perspective? What are your thoughts? What is your experience? Share this video with your friends, with your loved ones. I talk here a lot about economy, about money, about business, entrepreneurship. I talk about how the best entrepreneurs in the world think and act. So if you like this video, you will surely like my other videos. I invite you to watch them. I wish you a fantastic day today. Let's do something extraordinary today.